Tell me, what is it that you are planning to launch? It sounds like you haven't launched yet. Tell me what you're planning to launch.
Okay, so I'm in clinical treatment. I'm an ADHD specialist, and so that gets very tricky when it comes to terminology.
Hmm.
Um, However, because it's such a layman term, I'm going to talk to a lawyer in Connecticut about this because I think I can still use the term ADHD, but I'm going to be careful.
Is it in the
If
DSM?
yes,
Okay.
but it's also all over TikTok.
It's all
So
over
and
TikTok. It's all over
yeah,
Facebook. There are programs
yeah,
for it. There are
yeah,
$300 offers for $300 sort of self-study courses that I don't think will do much for people, all the
right.
way up to coaches who
Hmm.
will work with executives for $2,000 a month, helping
Hmm.
them to get their ADHD under control. So
Yeah. So and so that would be my expertise is like my niche is in ADHD. It's in multiple age groups. I can work with children. I can work with parents of children. I can work with young adults, older adults. I can see it in every light because my mother also has it. So and I take care of my mother. I'm
So you
also an
just
elderly
hit the
care.
non-clinical application of it right there,
Right.
which is parents of children with ADHD. If you're a
Hmm.
lawyer, if you talk to your lawyer or you talk to your board and they say under no circumstances can you work with somebody to quote unquote treat ADHD in a coaching program that takes people from out of state, you have named one group that you can do in a psychoeducational
Yeah.
non-clinical way. One of my clients does it for parents of children with anxiety, for instance.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you could do that with parents of children with ADHD because everybody wants to take their kid to therapy, right?
Hmm.
And they
Hmm.
do. But what about the other 6 days and 23 hours of the week when you're with your kid? I mean, is the provider even giving any kind of guidance? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The key to
Hmm.
it is you can't offer this program to parents of children where you're treating the children because the
Hmm.
clinical relationship extends to the parents in that case. But if you're offering this program to parents of children where you're not treating the children, and it's a psychoeducational program for parents of ADHD, my non-legal opinion of this is that's a psychoeducational non-clinical program that can be done in a coaching capacity.
So the other way that I look at all of this is that first, I think ADHD is going to be next in the next DSM. I think they're going to change the name or they're going to change it to a trait and a scale. I'm not positive, but the way that I can like I can turn all the verbiage into neurodivergent or neurodiversity. Because really what it comes down to is I hate pathologizing things for one, but two, is that what's really important that people understand is that a lot of people have these traits. It's I think I read somewhere that was like 80% underdiagnosed, and people think it's overdiagnosed, and
Yeah.
that's where it gets tricky because I don't need people to have a diagnosis to do a coaching program. I need
No.
them to have traits,
Yeah.
and the term traits is not clinical. So neurodiversity is not in the DSM, and neurodivergent is not, and traits is a part of the human language. So I
Uh-huh.
can use these terms for pretty much any application, and where I can do eventually do all of these programs and offer an age group. You can just select which age group you're in. You can select which program you want to do eventually, and I can do it that way. But I need to
You could
start
do it that
somewhere.
way, but that's a harder business than doing one thing and
Yeah,
getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But you might
yeah.
decide to do that.
Well, and so so I have a few groups of populations that I'm thinking about, and I'm not sure which. I guess where I need guidance is I'm not sure which one would probably be the most successful. I know parents would be, but that's very tricky because people are very passionate about their children. And when you start to talk to the parents, the parents need help. The kids don't need help.
Yep.
So I have to address the parents, not the children. And that's how
Yep.
I help people. And like my feeling, like I don't really like I'd love to have the money, but I really need to reach a lot of people. And
Say more
one
about that.
group
I really need to reach a lot of people. Tell me
I
more
need,
about this.
well, because so not only am I an ADHD specialist, but the people that come to me in therapy have never had a therapist like this before because I speak back to them. I question them. I accept people into clinical treatment that don't probably should go to rehab. They probably need to be detoxed. And I do this because I don't like to pathologize, for one. I believe in them, number two, and it's successful. When I know that somebody is in need of detox, trust me, I send them. But some people, I think therapists are just like, nope, out of my range, nope, out of my scope, out of my scope, and they refer out constantly. And I prefer to help people destigmatize themselves because they're judging themselves so much for even walking in the door of a therapist's office that they shut down to everything. They don't like themselves at all. So I try to pull back from pathologizing. I try to I don't like diagnosing people with anything, but I have to for insurance. So where I really help people, and my most recent clients that are coming to me are saying, I've learned about this on TikTok and I think that I have ADHD. Can you give me the diagnosis? And I have to say no. I have to see you for at least 6 months to a year before I provide the diagnosis. I have to refer you to a psychiatrist to provide the diagnosis. So that's very frustrating for me. So when I say I want to reach people, I just want to give them the information that they need to feel better about themselves every day.
Okay.
And because I needed this when I was 20.
Okay.
I didn't know I was smart until I was 34. I actually have a 4.0 throughout my entire college education, and I'm getting my PhD right now. So it's not that I'm not smart. It's that I wasn't taught properly, and I needed to learn how to learn. So that's one of my first intro sessions is how do you learn? You need to learn how you learn, and helping people to understand what they see and interpret it into how they feel. So the population is where I go back and forth on my niche and how I want to launch.
Well, let me talk a little bit about this desire to serve a lot of people, because people usually start by looking at major influencers, and then they try to immediately copy that major influencer in the hope that that person will get really big too. And the problem there is they don't understand the career path of what some major influencers have just been a unicorn and catapulted into a lot of notoriety. Others put a lot of information out for a very long time and hardly made any money, and then started to monetize it after some years. I don't like that model. The model that I see the most successful people coming from is starting in one single small niche, usually charging higher ticket rates, growing a successful business out of that. And then once you reach that $1 million level in your business, that's when you can start to make investments in things like being a New York Times bestseller and really growing the profile. And then your message becomes less hyper-focused on one niche and one problem and a group of people who can pay premium rates, and more sort of general market.
Right.
But you don't see that those years before, where you're building yourself up in a niche, because if you're selling $300 programs and things like this, you need to do some serious volume. Let's say that you want to sell a $300 program and it's costing you $220 in ads, right? Just to close that, which is actually very optimistic, just to make that sale at $300. Your problem there becomes that you have to do you have to be a crack marketer. You may have to have agencies and people who have a lot of fees just for them to get out of bed and help you in the morning. And then you're only making $80 margin per person coming into your course. You need to be doing some serious volume to really make it worthwhile for you in order to do that. But if you're selling a high ticket price, $2,500 to $5,000 to a small number of people, and you may be building yourself up as an influencer, you may be building an audience on social media as you do that, and that then becomes a vehicle for later. Then it tends to be a better model, because you only have to sell 5 people at $2,500 to get your business off the ground each month and have a way to do that. So the question then becomes, how do you sell 5 people at $2,500? You have to aim at a group of people who can afford you. And so there's neurodivergent people in the category of aren't working, can't get their lives to launch. And then there's neurodivergent people who are super successful, but the problem is that they're becoming a victim of their own success. And you have to say to yourself, well, which group is going to be able to pay my high ticket fees in order for me to get this off the ground, while keeping your long-term vision to help everybody once you have a business that can support you as you do that, to put the information out. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I've thought about this before, because ultimately later on, that's who I want to get to, is the people that cannot get out of their own way from the beginning.
Yeah.
However, I can't reach them until I'm supported by the people that can support themselves.
Exactly.
And so I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. I guess my point is, so I have two populations I'm seriously looking at. One is parents of kids with ADHD. The other niche is, it would be college students that just left to go to college. They get to school and they figure out that they don't have accountability anymore. They don't have short-term goals. They don't have someone chasing them. And their parents are going, what's going on? You know, they might not even know that they have the diagnosis. They might all be in denial of it, but I can sell traits. I can't sell ADHD, right? So I can say for the new college student or the young adult that is emerging into their career that is struggling with their traits of neurodivergency. And that's where, or neurodiversity, I should say, that's where I'm going back and forth. A part of me does want to help the parents with the kids with ADHD, but I think that's a more difficult population to work with because of their passion for their children. The other part of me thinks that the college kids that are just leaving high school, this is a big point in time where they are really, their life has changed so significantly that people are going to be willing to pay the price that I'm going to ask, which is $2,000 to begin with for a 12-week program. And so if the parents are willing to pay, I mean, they're paying for school. If I can help them while they're in school, the problem with that becomes how many of these kids at like 18 or 19 years old are ready for the accountability piece where they have to do their work, because if the program isn't successful, that's where it all goes downhill.
Yeah. You have a sales problem in the parents in the college kids. So the sales problem you need to overcome is that you're not selling just to one person, you're selling to two. So you have to, who's the customer who pulls the trigger? So the parents might think, okay, my kid is about to flunk out. And then they see an ad from you or something like this. They see some kind of outreach from you. And then they think it's a great idea. And then they bring the kid to the call. The kid has no interest in it. The kid sabotages the sale. Opposite way. The kid finds you and says, wow, this woman really gets me and I want this program. And then the parents say, can't you just go to the college counseling center and get it there for free? And so you're going to have that challenge. You're also going to have a degree of seasonality in your business because colleges have long summers. And because the beginning of the semester is probably not the time when everybody's panicking. It's more sort of midpoint or at the end. So you're going to have some seasonality there. So in practical terms, if you think about it, the passion that the parents have for the kids is the reason they will buy the program, and that will happen at any time in the year. I mean, maybe a little bit less in summer, but they'll happen at any time in the year. The college proposition is actually a double sale you have to make. You have to sell the kid and the parents in order for it to work out. You're kind of coming at it from, I think you're also saying, what if the kid is in the program and doesn't do it? I think that's what you were just saying, right? But it's actually, I think that what's going to happen is your problem's going to be happening at the point of sale, which is getting both the parents and the kid aligned in order for the sale to happen. And there's going to be like these delays in the sale process, which will give you some practical problems in terms of ROI that you're going to have to be ready for. So I'm not saying it's not insurmountable if you're really passionate about doing this. And sometimes you just being this person who solved a problem is actually a stronger force than the opposing force of being able to make the sale. But I am confident you are going to have some sales problems doing that. The parenting niche is going to be easier to sell to because parent makes decision, parent does program. Is two steps. You see, each additional step will reduce what in marketing terms is your conversion rate. So you just have to be aware of that and think it through from that perspective. But sometimes you can have a great idea for a program like parenting children with ADHD, which checks all the boxes for a coaching program. I'll tell you why in a minute. But if you don't want to wake up in the morning and do that every day, if you're I don't really want to do that, then you're going to sabotage it no matter how viable it is. You see?
No, I don't mind. I work in a school. I work with parents all the time. Yeah,
So
no,
you
I
see, the
already.
school doesn't support the parents and or teach the parents. All the focus is always on the child, and this is like a major gap in so
Mhm.
many different areas, right?
It is, and when people come and meet with me, they are like mind blown on what I'm saying to them, and that's where I know that it'll be successful
Mm-hmm.
because these are people that are pretty well educated
Uh-huh.
and they know. Like I mean, one of them is she's a lawyer for people with mental illness. She knows the information. She just
Uh-huh.
doesn't know it the way that I know it and how to apply it to a life.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I also have the niches that it happened to me. You know, like I
Mm-hmm.
lived this life. I went through it, you know,
But
so
now you're
mm,
what, 4.0 student
4.0 in my PhD, yeah.
and your PhD. Okay, so you have the origin story
Yep.
that the parents are going to listen to, which is you. I've solved this problem in myself. I
Hmm.
have the clinical background to understand the problem, but you know what? Having the clinical background to understand it isn't enough.
Yeah, I have the personal. Yeah. I
The
don't just
personal
know it, I
experience.
feel it.
Uh huh. Yeah,
That's what it
that's a
is.
major point of attraction for you that can make this
Hmm.
viable. And then the reason why the niche is viable is this: it fills all the criteria that I have for a coaching program, which is it has to be a very painful problem. It
Yes.
needs to be a painful problem that is top of mind right now. It needs to get something needs to be done right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost for solving the problem well, or sorry, the payoff for solving the problem well is great. The
Hmm.
cost of not solving the problem is very big.
Yeah.
And if you can satisfy these four things, then you have the kind of program where people will find you and they will buy from you, but they won't just buy from you slowly, they'll buy from you quickly. And they'll pay a
Yeah.
premium rate because they need to solve this problem. They need the best help that they can have. And they love the fact that a coaching program can be like a daily support environment as opposed to seeing a therapist once a week. And then also you have the added thing, which is if you have a parent of a teenager who has the ADHD diagnosis, the teenager may or may not be taking the medication, may or may not be abusing the medication, and may or may not be willing to see a therapist. And so you're basically the only thing the parent can do and be in control of is themselves. And you're
Yes.
focusing to teach them. And so all of these reasons are the reasons why people will buy something with
Hmm.
less friction
Hmm.
than some of the other things that you brought up. You see what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yes.
That would be my
Yeah.
advice
So
to you.
that answers, yeah, no, it answers my question and it gives me exactly what I needed. Like that's what's holding me back from just recording the videos. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is with this population, normally you're talking about people that have parents that have ADHD. And so all this information is going to resonate with them. And that's why they're going to be able to take a hold of it. But they're not going to listen to 30-minute to 45-minute videos. They're never going to sit through it.
Okay.
I could do 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Four times a week. I could do 4 10-minute videos.
You see, this is what everybody, all mental health professionals, I think, because you come from an academic environment, they always jump straight from having half an idea for a program into the curriculum, into designing the curriculum in their minds. I don't know anybody who doesn't do that. There's actually a lot that needs to happen between even thinking of the niche, building the offer, and then building the offer, and then actually doing the curriculum. To get you into the position of really doing that curriculum easily, because you'll be people torture themselves trying to come up with the curriculum. But the key point that I want to make is you're not making a Netflix series, so you don't have to follow any real rules in how you put this together. If you're saying, okay, these are people who can't pay attention for a long time, then what you might do is 10-minute videos with some exercises that need to be done and some very practical experiential or somatic things so that people are constantly feeling like they're in this activity. You might want to deliver your content not just in sitting in front of a video, but you might want to give, for instance, what's called a private podcast, which is an audio version of your program. It's just basically the audio extracted from the video that people can then have on their phones. So when they're driving somewhere, they're also consuming your material, you see, or doing the gym or walking or things like that. If that works better for the population, that's great. The other thing you're saying about parents who have ADHD kids or these tendencies is it's another selling point, which is, basically they don't want their child to struggle in the same way. They want their child to be better than them in different ways. And that's another point that you can make in the marketing, you see?
Yes.
This is a green light I mean, for me, I would say do this, build this program.
I'm starting. I've got the first 2 weeks of videos I've done the curriculum for. Like I
Great.
watched all like most of your stuff and I was like, "Nice, this is great." Like so.
Uh-huh.
So what I did was I broke them down into four, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. And each video I decided needs to be organized in a way that's sort of like a class. It needs to be more like, here's a topic. I'm going to give you a little bit of information. Then I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about it. And I want you to write it down. And then in the next one, I'm going to answer the question. So
Mm-hmm.
there's an activity for every single one. They have to think about something, like critically think about, like, what does the term neurodiversity mean? Would be the first one. What do you think sleep hygiene is? Right, like things like that. For each topic, I have my 12 weeks of topics like all ready to go. I wrote that out in 20 minutes, no
Mm-hmm.
problem. Like, and I know exactly like what to say. My next problem is is the problem of sitting in front of a camera and recording myself talking, because it's so not me. It's me to talk to you. It's not me to sit in front of a camera and record myself talking. I tried this already. It does not work. So
Uh-huh. We did this
when
with
I was,
Becky. So Becky's program, Empowering Christian Moms, the thing that she had was she's in a fairly tight-knit community, and the people in the community started hearing that she was creating this and lining up to buy it. And so what I told her to do is don't wait to create the curriculum and put everybody on hold for a month while you do it. Instead, teach your program live to the first
Mhm.
people who come through the program. And here's how you do it. You'll give them a live lesson where they are listening and you are talking and you're recording that. And that becomes the videos for all the other clients who are coming forward. Then you stop the recording and do any specific Q&A with them. So it's not just like a purely listening session. And when you do
Mhm.
that, you're doing like basically you structure the program for the first couple of clients. There's 2 coaching calls a week. One is teaching and one is Q&A. And so your agenda for the teaching call is to record the lesson. That could be how
Mhm.
you do it.
Mhm.
I'm also kind of the same. I mean, sometimes what you might want to do is also when we are profiling the people who are creating their program, we actually create a picture. This is the person. This is my imaginary avatar, and this is the picture of them. And for the people who are having trouble recording stuff, sometimes we just print out the picture, put it on the screen underneath the
Yeah.
camera, and they're
What's up?
talking to their client. And because therapists have so many skills when it comes to being face to face with somebody, and it's
Mhm.
whenever they try to record a video, it's almost like they take all of these skills that they have that would be great and throw them out the window, and they become a plank of wood with a
Yep.
deer in the headlights look, staring
That's
at the
what I did. Yep.
camera. Right.
Yeah.
And you just have to find a way to get them back into saying, "Oh, I'm just sitting opposite a person right now talking." And
Mhm.
and then all of the rapport building skills and the warmth and the connection all starts coming out of them again. So whatever you can do to put yourself in that position. I was speaking to a person instead of a camera, the
Mhm.
better you're going to be able to do it. And remember, version 1, you're going to reversion it in 6 months anyway, once you've learned a lot from your first
Yeah.
clients coming through. So nothing's ever permanent.
Mm. Um, in terms of marketing, I'm a very eclectic person. I have Star Wars tattoos and I'm a pop
Uh-huh.
culture person. And like, so when I go and ask somebody to build a website, that's like so generic and I'm like, I want to puke. So, I want to address people in a way that's like constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they log in on May 4th, it's like a whole Star Wars website. They see like how Google does it every day. They change, they give you a little difference every day. I don't have the money to pay somebody to do that right now, but that's my vision. And I think like to begin with, my whole like my business name, it's all like it's about like bees and a hive. And then what I want to eventually do, which I called it Hive X, and what I want to eventually do is to create like X is the variable of where do you want to go with this. And it's all also very, it's a pun because my name means bee in Hebrew. So, so I'm like, for me, the marketing part of it is like in my brain. I just don't know how to get it out. And I don't know, like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to, yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
I mean, the marketing is based on delivery of the end result. And
Mm,
so we have to find a channel for that artistic and creativity that doesn't compromise the actual effectiveness of your marketing. And so, for instance, like I've had the same boring landing page that you found me on, most probably, for a couple of years because it's the most effective landing page. It tests well, and I don't need to change it.
Yeah.
If you have this type of need for expression, it's probably best to channel it into YouTube. It might even be that what you have is you have very practical, boring marketing for parents. But what you actually then do is you start to create content for the teens, which is free and goes into a YouTube or TikTok channel, which you can be as creatively expressive with as you want. So long as what you don't do is, you know, some people are judgmental, some parents are judgmental, is make them trust you less. What you want to do is make them trust you more, because the parents will absolutely check out your channel for younger people. And so the free content for younger people becomes where you put that expression, and then the boring marketing, which works better than the really fancy marketing, generally speaking, is what's actually your bread and butter. That tends to be a better business decision. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And the way that I had a company that offered me a really good deal, and they built the website and they wrote it, and it's beautiful. The way that they wrote about me, I was like, wow, that's me. But so I looked at it and it was great. And I think they'll be able to make it work for all the things that I want it to do. But I'm looking at it still and I'm like, oh gosh, those pictures are like,
you have that need, and I completely understand, because I mean, this industry attracts people who have that need for expression and have that need to put themselves out there. Actually, usually the people aren't also mental health professionals. It's usually the coaches who are like this. But I've seen ones do great things with creativity and image. It's just that those great things can't interfere with the bread and butter marketing that brings the people in and gets the calls and these kinds of things. Because honestly, the most profitable businesses are a bit quote unquote boring. And so that we can't get away from that. So you have to have two avenues. That would be my recommendation.
And with ADHD, boring is you may as well kill us. Like we will die. Yeah,
I understand. So put that into YouTube or TikTok. And by all means, get yourself half 500,000 kids following you from around the world on TikTok, listening to ADHD content that is not like, hey, if you twiddle your hair like this, you probably have ADHD or anxiety and you should go and see a mental health professional. So some very, very harmful messages that are going out, and actually awful. Be that person who is correcting these things in social media for the kids as a similar endeavor. That marketing is going to help you brand build, but doesn't potentially disrupt your direct response marketing that's bringing in the leads and calls.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is I would be marketing to children, not children, but teenagers, and
your
whoever's
free content could be for teenagers, and really good stuff.
And they're going to go back to their parents and say, she's important. I listen to her.
Some will, but you also have a direct route to parents. You see, if you can have both of these things, awesome.
Yeah, I will. I can. I already went viral on TikTok, so I already. For something totally stupid, but
I understand.
But I have an account that has 8,000 followers that I can just do anything I want with. So, and I also people like to listen to me talk. I'm decent looking and I have neck and throat tattoos, and they think it's interesting, that I also have a PhD and a 4.0, so it's like I think I am in a really good place to do this, and I think it is going to take off and be really successful, and I'm a little terrified of that too.
No, that's good. I think you're in a good place. You're a good candidate for this. You think different. You're very fast. It's just there's a thing called entrepreneurial ADHD that all the experienced business mentors will warn you about, which is where you get a lot of people who jump from thing to thing or break their marketing that's working to try and do new stuff because they find a shiny object. And generally, the people who just continue to optimize one marketing channel, all the 7-figure people in this industry, they don't have 10 different ways of bringing clients. They have one or two. So yeah, so if you have to be a creative artist, the best way it could serve you is by doing that towards the actual teens, and then just that's a brand that you'll be able to do something with in the future. You see,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
almost the fact that you probably when you're doing that kind of work, you'd be wearing something completely different to what you're wearing to this call. But when you're dealing with the parent funnel,
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing that. And so the parents can also see, wow, she understands both perspectives so well. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it is a visual thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. And
Yeah.
I do this every day at work. So,
Yeah. Perfect.
mm, yeah.
I think you're in a
Okay.
good spot here. This is, I've had other people coming through who didn't have this kind of clarity on niche, and you came in with a couple of good ideas. I just think that, doing the college thing, we'll have a sales problem.
Yeah,
So doing the
I think you're
parent
right.
thing will
That's
be
a good point.
easier for you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay.
Very good. Any questions?
Nope.
Very good. You got it. You're the kind of person who can figure this out.
I will.
If you need help from me,
Thank
let me
you.
know. But you're the kind of
Thank
person
you.
who could figure a lot of this out.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Yeah,
your help. And honestly, thank you so much for just putting this out into the world because I knew that I needed to do something like this. I just didn't know how.
sure.
So I appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, I want to hear about your success. Okay.
I will. And I'm hoping to be able to hire you fully. So,
Time will come. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye for
Bye
now.
bye.